We were sitting at a private beachside table, waves lapping the shore like a lullaby meant to distract me from the disaster unraveling in real time. I had planned the whole trip, rented the same villa we stayed at on our honeymoon, brought her favorite wine, even got a goddamn engraved bracelet that read forever, no matter what. Yeah, ironic. The sunset hit her just right. Her name is Alyssa, and to the outside world, she's the woman men fantasize about. Long legs, that smug smirk, a voice smooth like melted caramel. But inside, cold, calculated. And right now, holding a champagne flute with all the grace of a queen who just burned down her castle. Her cousin Maddie was with us. Don't ask why I agreed. Giggling over some influencer's meltdown on TikTok, sipping rose like we weren't celebrating a milestone. 10 years. 10 years of memories, holidays, family dinners, good mornings and good nights, and apparently, a boyfriend I didn't know about. Alyssa looked at me with that same nonchalant face she uses when returning a dress she's already worn to 4 parties. Oh, by the way, she said, like she was commenting on the weather. I sold your cabin. Silence. My cabin. The one in Lakewood my father left me before he died. The one I fixed up with my bare hands. The one I'd go to when the world was too much, when she was too much. My lips parted, but no sound came out. I mean, she shrugged. It just made sense. My boyfriend needed the money for his business. You weren't even using it anymore. She said boyfriend like it was an accessory. Like I was the stranger crashing this celebration. Maddie laughed. That same high-pitched cackle she used in college when she'd spike her ex's drinks and film him stumbling for likes. He'll get over it, she said, brushing invisible lint off her designer blouse. My heart didn't pound. It clenched. I smiled. That weird, ice-cold smile that doesn't come from joy. It comes from that flick of a switch moment when something inside you breaks and rearranges itself permanently. That's funny, I said, slowly putting down my glass. Because I just sold something too. Alyssa's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Maddie blinked. That silence, that thick, unbearable shift in energy, it stretched between us like a piano wire. And I plucked it clean. I sold the company. The one your boyfriend was borrowing resources from. To a firm overseas. It's gone. You'll get the paperwork next week. The blood drained from her face like a faucet had opened. You're bluffing, she said. I pulled out my phone. Swiped once. Showed her the email. $4.8 million. Closed. Effective immediately. Maddie gasped like a Kardashian at the wrong kind of scandal. Alyssa reached for her glass and missed. I stood up. Oh, and while we're being honest tonight, your boyfriend? Tyler? I had him investigated 3 weeks ago. I leaned in close. I know about the money laundering, the fake crypto company, and the underage bartender in Austin. FBI's been notified. I picked up my blazer slowly, savoring the confusion and rising panic in her eyes. Her mouth opened, but no words came. For once, she was speechless. And then I added, loud enough for the couple at the next table to hear. Enjoy the rest of your romantic weekend, ladies. It's the last one you'll be having for a long time. I walked off the beach with the kind of calm only revenge can deliver. Not because I wanted it to end like this, but because I knew this moment wasn't the beginning of my loss. It was the beginning of her downfall. You ever have a moment where your soul steps outside of your body and watches your own life like it's a movie? This was that. And I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the man who'd finally woken up. 3 weeks earlier, I had already suspected something wasn't right. Alyssa started doing this thing where she'd tilt her phone screen away from me when she texted. Subtle, but not for someone like me who'd memorized her tells over a decade. She laughed more at messages than anything I said out loud. The intimacy between us, the casual brushes of fingers, the long hugs in the kitchen, the late-night whispers before sleep. Gone like someone flipped a switch. I noticed receipts in the trash from restaurants I'd never taken her to. A pair of men's sunglasses in the back of her car. Once, when I came home early from work, I saw her at the kitchen table, smiling at her laptop like it was telling her sweet secrets. She slammed it shut like it burned her the moment she saw me. Said she was just watching a podcast. Right. It wasn't one thing. It was a dozen tiny things, all adding up like bricks forming a wall between us. But the real blow came when I checked our joint bank account. That cabin, my retreat, my escape, had been transferred. Not listed for sale, not appraised, not negotiated. Sold. Quietly. Discreetly. The funds routed through a shell account. And the name on that account? Tyler Graham. That's when I hired Danny. My old friend from college, now a private investigator with a grudge against cheaters after his own wife slept with his brother. He had a knack for this kind of thing. Within days, I had phone logs, texts, photos. I saw her on video stepping out of a hotel with him, her hand casually on his lower back like it belonged there. I watched her kiss him in a parking lot like no one was watching, but someone was. Me. They'd been together for 6 months. 6. While I was planning anniversary trips, she was moaning fake promises into another man's neck. The night I confronted her, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just waited. Waited for her to show up late again. She said she was at Maddie's, helping her with a breakup. She came home wearing heels I hadn't seen before, lips too red, perfume too sweet, trying too hard to look casual. I was sitting in the dark. She jumped when she saw me. Jesus, Nathan, what the hell are you doing? Why are you in the dark? Thinking, I said. She reached for the light switch, but I stopped her with a simple question. Where were you, Alyssa? Her eyes shifted for a second. I told you, Maddie's. Try again. A beat. Then another. She scoffed. Are you seriously doing this again? Don't you trust me? No. She rolled her eyes. God, you're so paranoid. This is why we're falling apart. You think we're falling apart because I'm paranoid? I stood. Or because you're screwing your boyfriend in hotel rooms while telling me you're consoling your heartbroken cousin. The color drained from her face. She opened her mouth, but nothing came. Then, defiance. You went through my phone? Hired someone? That's insane, Nathan. You're insane. Maybe if you'd spent more time being a husband instead of playing detective. I slammed the folder onto the table. Dozens of photos spilled out like accusations. Her in Tyler's car. Her in a dress I'd never seen, wrapped around him like a prize. Her kissing him. Her laughing. Her holding his hand in a cafe 20 miles from our house. Silence. I loved you, I said, voice trembling now. King loved you. She didn't even flinch. Just leaned against the counter and crossed her arms like a bratty teenager caught sneaking out. Yeah? Well, love doesn't pay for Tyler's dreams. He's building something real. Something that matters. I stared at her, speechless. I sold the cabin because it was just sitting there. You don't even go anymore. My dad built that with his own hands, I said. I fixed it when he died. That place meant something. She shrugged. Well, it meant money to us. You'll get over it. Those words. You'll get over it. That's when I knew she wasn't just cheating. She was never on my team to begin with. The following morning, she was gone. No note. No message. Not even a slammed door. Just empty drawers, half the clothes missing, and her favorite perfume still lingering in the hallway like some sick joke. I sat on the edge of the bed for hours. Not thinking. Not crying. Just existing in a state of slow, quiet collapse. You know that feeling when your body's there, but your mind is floating 3 feet above your head, watching everything like a ghost? That was me. The betrayal hadn't just been physical. It was emotional treason. She didn't just cheat on me. She stole from me. Lied to my face. Sold my blood and bones to fund another man's dream. I stared at the bracelet I gave her on our anniversary. Forever, no matter what. What King joke. By noon, Maddie was blowing up my phone. She had the nerve to call me immature. Said I was ruining Alyssa's peace and making everything about me. Apparently, Alyssa told her I'd been controlling, unavailable, emotionally abusive. I laughed so hard I nearly choked. Me? The guy who brought her coffee every morning, who never once checked her phone, who paid for her yoga retreats, her designer clothes, her random girls' trips with 0 questions? I blocked Maddie's number. Around 2 p.m., Danny called. You might want to sit down for this, he said. I'm already on the floor. He sighed. Tyler's not just some broke loser with a startup. He's married. Silence. Lives in Austin. Wife's name is Jenna. 2 kids. Alyssa's not the only one being lied to. I nearly dropped the phone. So what? She's the side chick. Looks like it. But she doesn't know. Yet. I thanked him and hung up. And then, I laughed. A real laugh. The kind that comes from deep in the chest when the pain turns so ridiculous it starts to rot. She betrayed me for a man who was also betraying her. Poetic justice if I've ever seen it. But I wasn't done. I drove to the cabin. Or what used to be mine. I needed to see it one last time, before the legal paperwork kicked in. The air up there was cold, sharp. Trees whispering like they'd seen too much. I walked through the front door and stood in the silence of that creaky old house. Every board I'd hammered. Every window I cleaned. Every memory gone. Traded like a pawn ticket. I left a note on the kitchen counter. You'll get over it, right? On my way back, I stopped at the law office. The divorce papers were ready. I didn't even flinch when I signed them. Didn't hesitate. The only thing I felt was a burning, bitter satisfaction. She'd left with nothing but her delusions and a crumbling fantasy built on someone else's lies. That night, she called me. Blocked number. But her voice? Unmistakable. You didn't have to humiliate me like that, she hissed. You sold my father's legacy for a man who doesn't even want you. You're just bitter. No, I'm free. She hung up. I stared at my reflection in the window. Same face. Same scars. But different eyes. Hardened. Sharper. Wiser. I wasn't the man who planned anniversary trips anymore. I was the man who survived Alyssa. 3 days passed without a word from her. I figured she was busy playing house with Tyler, pretending she'd upgraded her life. Letting herself believe that burning everything down was worth whatever false paradise she'd crawled into. Then Jenna called. Tyler's wife. Her voice was steady, but underneath, there was this quiet tremble, like someone who hadn't slept in days. You're Nathan, right? Yes. I found your number in my husband's hidden files. I think we need to talk. We met at a diner off the highway, one of those old-school spots with vinyl booths and faded photos of Elvis on the wall. She looked tired. Not physically. She was stunning, honestly, but tired in her soul. Like someone who'd been lied to so well, for so long, that she no longer trusted her own instincts. She slid a manila folder across the table. I opened it and froze. Screenshots. Emails. Financial records. Photos. Tyler had been using Alyssa as a funnel. He was moving money through fake business fronts under her name. Her name, not his. That's why he needed my cabin sold. He needed more assets in her name to shift the heat away from him. She doesn't know, Jenna said. He's setting her up. He's planning to disappear. It hit me like a truck. Alyssa, the woman who threw away our marriage like yesterday's trash, was about to be left with more than a broken heart. She was about to take the fall for a man who didn't give a damn about her. I should have felt pity. I didn't. I thanked Jenna, left cash on the table, and walked out into the night with my hands shaking. Not from fear. From rage. I called Alyssa. She didn't answer. So I messaged her just one line. Asked Tyler about Dubai. She called back in 2 minutes. Nathan, what are you talking about? His new ID. The offshore accounts. The fact that he's got a one-way ticket and a fake passport waiting. You're lying. I'm warning. Silence. Then, for the first time since this whole thing started, her voice cracked. What do I do? I could have hung up. I should have. But something in me, maybe the ghost of the man who once loved her, said one last thing. Run. She never replied. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, the news broke. Local woman arrested in financial fraud investigation tied to crypto laundering scheme. They showed a blurred mugshot. But I knew that dress. I knew those eyes. Alyssa, the queen of cold smiles. The master of lies. Now standing behind bars for a man who vanished the same day. Poetic. King. Justice. I watched the footage on mute. Didn't need the sound. Her eyes said enough. She wasn't crying. Wasn't shouting. Just blank. Like someone who finally realized the world doesn't revolve around her whims. I imagined the cell, the concrete, the cold meals, the cheap mattress she'd sleep on while the man she destroyed everything for disappeared into the wind with her name still smudged across fake bank accounts. I should have felt vindicated. I didn't. There's a weird numbness that settles in after everything ends. Like your brain doesn't know what to do without the chaos. No more late-night fights. No more wondering if she's lying. Just silence. And silence is a brutal companion. I went to the cabin's empty lot the next week. Bulldozed. Gone. Not even a plank left. All that was there was a burnt patch of soil and an old nail stuck in the dirt like a headstone. She erased it for nothing. I picked up the nail, turned it over in my fingers, and pocketed it. A souvenir of everything she stole, everything she lost. The lawyer called the day after. Her legal team is requesting character references, he said. I laughed so hard I had to put the phone down. Character. Alyssa. Those two words don't belong in the same sentence. Apparently, they were trying to argue that she didn't know what Tyler was doing. That she was manipulated. Used. A victim. Which, on some level, might be true. But not completely. She wasn't innocent. She might not have known all the details, but she knew enough. She knew she was selling something that didn't belong to her. She knew she was lying, hiding, covering. She just never expected the fire to reach her. I didn't give the reference. What could I say? She was my wife. She cheated, lied, sold my past, killed our future. I wouldn't trust her with my car keys, let alone the law. Let her own decisions speak for her now. A few days later, Maddie showed up. At my door. Red eyes. Makeup streaked. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in a week. I didn't know it was that serious, she said, barely above a whisper. I stared at her like she was a roach crawling across clean tile. You laughed when she said she sold my cabin. I thought it was just, she hesitated, a joke. Tyler seemed so charming. We didn't know. You didn't care, I interrupted. You never cared. You both treated me like a background character in your little drama. I'm sorry. You're not. You're just scared. She flinched. I closed the door. That night, I took out the bracelet again. Forever, no matter what. I held it over the fire pit in my backyard, stared at it for a full minute, then dropped it in. Watched the flames curl around it, melting metal into nothing. There was no forever. There was only now. And now, I was free. A few weeks passed. The calls stopped. The noise faded. Life, somehow, resumed. The house was quiet now, too quiet at first. I used to hate the silence. Alyssa always filled it with something. Music, her voice, the fake laughs on the phone with her friends. But now, the quiet felt clean. Honest. No more pretending. No more wondering who she was texting or where she was going when she said, "Don't wait up." I started waking up early. Making real coffee instead of the overpriced crap she made me buy. I'd sit on the porch, robe on, mug in hand, just watching the sun rise. Some mornings, I'd replay everything in my head like a broken tape. The betrayal, her smug face, the way she said, "You'll get over it." It still hit like a punch, but the sting was duller now. Danny called one morning, just after dawn. "She's taking a plea," he said. "Avoiding trial. Minimum sentence, probably 18 months if her lawyers don't screw it up." "Good," I said. "Thought you'd want to know." "I do." He paused. "You good?" "I'm better than I've been in a long time." And I meant it. It wasn't that the pain disappeared. It's that it finally made sense. Alyssa was never the woman I thought she was. The signs had been there for years. The casual cruelty, the gaslighting, the way she always played victim when she got caught in a lie. I just didn't want to see it. I was in love with a version of her that never existed. One afternoon, while cleaning the garage, I found an old box labeled N+A, honeymoon. Photos, souvenirs, little notes we'd written each other. I sat on the floor and went through them all. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just felt detached, like watching strangers' lives unfold through a peephole. At the bottom of the box was a postcard I'd never seen. Addressed to me, never sent. Her handwriting. "If you're reading this, maybe I messed up. Or maybe you did. But I hope we both remember who we were at the beginning." I laughed. A dry, bitter laugh. She remembered the beginning because it was the only part that ever mattered to her. The part where everything was perfect, easy, fresh. She bailed the moment it required work, loyalty, respect. And now she was sitting in a jumpsuit, probably thinking of ways to blame everyone but herself. I burned the box that night. Watched our fake love story turn to smoke. A week later, I went back to the diner where I met Jenna. She wasn't there, but the waitress remembered me. "You look lighter," she said while refilling my coffee. Maybe I finally dropped something I shouldn't have been carrying. She smiled. "Good for you." I smiled back. Because for the first time in years, I actually meant it. Spring rolled in without warning. The grass got greener, the mornings warmer, and for once, I wasn't counting the days to anything. No anniversary plans to fake smile through. No pretending I was okay just to keep the peace. I wasn't numb anymore. I wasn't angry either. I was just awake. One night I got a message. From a number I didn't recognize. "He's gone. He left me nothing. Just wanted you to know." No name. But I didn't need one. The tone was hers, stripped of confidence. All her venom boiled down into desperation. I stared at the screen for a long minute. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then I turned off the phone. Let her sit in the ashes she created. The next morning, Jenna called. She'd moved out of Austin, taken the kids, started over near her sister in Colorado. She said she felt like she could finally breathe. "You ever think we were all just extras in Tyler and Alyssa's self-absorbed movie?" she asked. "Yeah, but now we're off set." We talked for an hour. Not about them, about life. About what comes after surviving something like that. I told her about the cabin, the note I left, the bracelet in the fire. She laughed when I said I started baking again. You? Baking? Don't judge, I said. Turns out kneading dough is better than therapy. A few days later, she sent a package. Inside was a handwritten note. A fresh start deserves good tools. And wrapped in paper, a brand new set of measuring spoons. That night, I made cinnamon rolls from scratch. Ate two, burned one, and left the last on the windowsill like some kind of dumb fairy tale. But it felt good. Honest. Alyssa once said I was boring, that I lacked ambition, that I didn't make her feel alive. What she didn't realize was that real peace isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's not champagne on rooftops with men who lie for a living. It's quiet mornings. Knowing who you are. Living without pretending. Weeks turned into months. Her trial made the news again. Tyler was never found. Some say he's in Belize. Others think he faked his death. I don't care. I don't follow the updates anymore. I live. One night, I walked into the same beachside restaurant where she betrayed me, alone this time. Sat at the same table. Ordered the same wine. The waiter gave me a strange look. Waiting for someone, he asked. No, I said. Not this time. And I raised a glass to no one. But I smiled like I was surrounded by 1,000 ghosts finally fading away. A few days ago, I got the official letter. Alyssa Martin has been released from custody after serving a reduced sentence. No apology. No message. Just a fact printed on government paper, as cold and sterile as she always was at the end. I folded it up and tucked it into the back of a drawer. Not because I needed it, but because it felt like the last page of a chapter I'd already closed. She's out there now, somewhere. Probably still chasing the next high, the next easy dollar, the next man foolish enough to believe her curated smile. But she'll never get another second of my life. Not a text, not a glance, not a thought I don't choose to give her. I'm not angry anymore. I'm grateful. She burned everything to the ground, and that's what finally set me free. Last weekend, I drove upstate. Not to the old cabin. That's long gone. But there's a new place now, smaller, quieter mine. I built a fire, watched the smoke drift into the trees. And for the first time in years, I didn't look back. I met someone recently. Nothing serious yet. Just long walks and slow laughs and no lies. Her name's Emily. She doesn't ask what happened. She lets me tell it in my own time. Or not at all. And when she smiles, it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like sunlight after a long storm. You learn things when your heart gets broken in a way you don't come back from. You learn that love without respect is poison. That loyalty is worth more than excitement. That silence is better than words soaked in lies. And if you're lucky, you learn how to stand up from the wreckage, dust yourself off, and walk away not bitter, but better. So here's what I'll say to any man who finds himself where I once was. Trust your gut. Never apologize for asking questions. If someone makes you feel small, they are not your person. And when the truth comes, because it always does, meet it head on. Let it break you. Then rebuild. I'm not the same man she married. I'm something she'll never understand. Whole. Honest. Finally free.